A lot of analog photographers appreciate a high-end scanner of their work. With that in mind, a lot of people would think about a drum scanner, right? But with wet blades, you're out of luck. You need a flatbed scanner like this one here. But if you want to scan ultra-large format blades like this one, you would need a bigger scanner like me. And as always with my stories, it starts with something small. At that time, a friend sent me a message about a posting where a scanner is looking for a new home. So I contacted the owner without asking how heavy the scanner is, without asking how big the scanner is. Ask later, but I didn't do it in the first place. And now, 3 months later, I have a beautiful scanner here, and as Crocodile Dundee would say it, this is not a scanner, that is a scanner. And today I want to invite you to follow my journey how I got this 73 kilogram monster into my studio.
I was so happy to get this beast into my car. But man, when I would have known back then what I get myself into again, my expression would be very different at that moment, I think. I was lucky to get a Mac with the scanner, and I was also lucky to get it through my entrance, because it was very tight. We put the scanner on transport dollies so we can move it easier, and then I turned it on for the very first time. Before we go on, it can be a big mistake to transport the scanner without putting it into lock position. More about that later, guys. It even showed the right date and time. A lot of accessories came with the scanner. Masking sheets, cleaning mats, lots of documentation, some of them were even handwritten. Cleaning fluids, wet scanning fluids, a second glass bed, acrylic scanning carriers in 2 sizes. One of them is huge. I got myself anti-static gloves and cleaning gloves, a Delta 1 Camel hairbrush and much more. I will link everything for you guys in the description. At some point I went to Reddit to find out more about the scanner. There I got a great hint about the thread in the large format forum. I read through more than 100 pages and that took me forever, I think like 2 weeks. The amount of information I got there was amazing. Thanks a lot to all of you guys there. Also a great thanks to Brian Garris, I will link his Instagram below. I think lots of people have some kind of chaos storage room, that is mine. I cleaned it up to make space for my new beast of a scanner. A 73 kilogram scanner needs a heavy duty table, so I got one with a steel frame. After everything was set up, we rolled the scanner into his new home. From the forum I learned that I can unmount its tail. For that I need to bring the scanner into the lock position. To do that I needed to hold the bigger button for 30 seconds during the power cycle and wait for the beep. And now the LEDs are cycling, and when the red one is active I press the same button again. This will bring the unit into the lock position. I will upload the documentation for that to my blog and link it underneath. Now I can turn the scanner off and unmount its tail. I will show you a close-up when I put it together again. By the way, during scanning, the scanner moves the whole bed, very different to a normal flatbed scanner. With joint forces and lots of efforts, we somehow were able to pick the scanner up and put it on the table. Even the table had a reinforced steel frame. I needed to mount 2 more table legs to be on the safe side. The scanner just moves too much without them. Now you can see in detail how to mount my beast's tail again. At the end I put my 3D printer in place again and went to sleep. Until a loud smashing sound woke me up. That scared the shit out of me. When I found out what happened, it was like a miracle that nothing was damaged, because some of the scanner tools were still on that table. The Mac that came with the scanner was pretty slow, so I got a used one from another guy who used it also for a scanner. Really, what are the odds when you call somebody for a used Mac and he tells you that he used it for a big high-end scanner? Now there comes the cool part. The Mac came with an Apple Cinema display with its original packaging. This Quicksilver Power Mac G4 came with a dual 1.2 GHz CPU and 4 GB of RAM. It still had the original protecting foil on it, but after all these years it wouldn't come off very easily. Anyway, I felt like a little kid unpacking everything. I think it was really cool that this display has an Apple display connector, short ADC. This display connector connects to the Mac, and this is the only cable needed to power the display, send video signals to the display, and also for USB connection on the display. Pretty cool for year 2000 tech, right? After I put everything together, I turned it on and it worked like a charm. Now I had to upgrade it. To do that I got some antique IT stuff. It's like unbelievable. I got an original sealed Powerdomain 2930 SCSI controller from back then. The unboxing was really cool, because today you would never ever get so many cool stuff with your communication card. I got also an SSD, an adapter for PATA connections, an USB 2 card and a reducing frame for the SSD. What a funny coincidence. I tried to sell this reducing frame for about 2 years and now I was so happy to have one at home. These old Macs are very maintenance friendly and easy to open. With that I could install everything in no time. If you enjoy historic computer stuff like that one, you have to check out the channel of the 8-bit guy. He has a lot more of that. Then I booted this beauty up and everything was recognized. Now I cloned the original macOS 9 to a FireWire hard disk and then cloned it back to the SSD. I also cloned the original OS X with the carbon copy cloner to the SSD. The bad news are that this version of macOS 9 would not work with the Quicksilver Mac. The pre-installed macOS X was too new for the Powerdomain SDSI controller, so I had to find a new solution. To get my mind going, I worked on another part. So I needed some space for scanning accessories and a protection for the tail of the beast. After finishing everything, finally I can show you the room. I think it turned out pretty cool. The enlargements you see here are from a street portrait project. You can find the link to it here. And there is also an enlargement from our last wet plate come together. I will link the video to this come together underneath as well. Back to the macOS chaos. I figured that any macOS 9 would not work with it. But then I found out about the macOS 9 Lives project and installed their version. Thanks a lot guys for that. It worked like a charm. I also downloaded macOS 10 version 10.3.2 Panther from the Apple website. That is compatible with the Powerdomain controller. And it also can locate more RAM than macOS 9. With having all the right operating system, I worked on a triple boot. I needed some time but figured everything out at the end. It was easier than I thought, and now I can choose between all the different operating systems and able to connect with screen sharing or VNC remotely to each of them. A shared folder makes the file exchange of the scans a dream. I don't need to deal with USB sticks anymore, and with a gigabit network connection it is very quick as well. If you were wondering about the Apple sign, I found it in the office and thought it would be funny to put it in the room and declare myself as a fanboy. Now I need something big to scan, right? I think an ultra large format wet plate shoot would be the right thing for that. Enjoy the shooting guys, and let's meet back again after it. Close your eyes. Thank you. Finally, I can see what this piece can do. The scanner can scan film and plates up to 329 by 530 centimeters, that is 13 by 20.9 inches, with a maximum resolution of 5300 dpi. Pretty impressive, right? First I started with a portrait from one of my wet plate workshops. By the way, contact me if you want to learn more about this beautiful process. In between, I want to say thanks to my patrons. You know, when you support me on that platform, you get behind the scenes content, wet plate support and goodies from my shop. You can find all the links to that down in the description. To create a great scan, avoiding dust is the key of everything. The brush and cloth I showed you at the beginning of the video are the right weapons against dust. It's very convenient to connect remotely to the scanner. Not only is it more quiet, but it's also pretty cool that I can do that from everywhere. It took me some time to get comfortable with the scanning interface because there are so many options and settings, but otherwise it's pretty cool. The first scan was pretty disappointing, because the light was bleeding into the image. So let's try this again. To avoid that, I just used a black paper behind the plate, scanned it again, and then I heard the angels sing. The detail that this scanner can produce from a 13 by 18 cm plate is mind-blowing. So let's scan the big one. Scanning is a little bit like the wet plate collodion process. Everything has to be super clean. The cool thing is that you can create jobs with the scan software. With that you set up all the scans you want to do, add them to the job and start scanning when you're finished. That saves lots of time. This plate I scanned here is a little sneak peek from an upcoming Inspired Series video. If you want to see this one, consider subscribing. So let's see what the scanner can do with 6x5 negatives. For that I mounted the masking sheets on the acrylic carrier and taped some of my street portraits on the masking sheet. It was described like that in the description of the scanner. You will find a link to my street portrait project underneath, and there you will find a lot of interesting characters. I love how fast I can copy these images. That's a great improvement to USB 1 and USB 2. These scans are gorgeous and have so much detail. For the 4x5 positives, I tried some black masking tapes. The resolution of the scans were amazing again. But some Newton rings were showing up, so I should have scanned them again, but I didn't because I have already high-end scans of these positives, so this must be enough for this test. At the end I scanned 35mm negatives, and these looked also great.
It was a very long way, but totally worth it. The quality of the scans are amazing and I really love to work with it. So if you want to have a high-end scan, just contact me and maybe we can figure something out. If you want to see more of my journeys, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified if one of the new ones is online. And as always guys, I'll be back guys.